Our narrative takes us back in time, around 1000 BC, when Israel was engaged in a grueling war with the Philistines. For 40 long days, their army suffered humiliation at the hands of the invincible warrior Goliath, a true giant, who daily entered the battlefield in defiant defiance of all Israel. His rumbling voice and taunts echoed through the valley, inspiring terror in everyone who heard them. The Israelites were shackled with fear, for no one dared to stand up against the formidable enemy. Then one day, a young shepherd named David arrived at the camp, sent by his father to bring food to his brothers who were fighting in the army. David had never been in battle, but his heart was full of faith and devotion to his people. Hearing Goliath's taunts, David is struck not only by his enemies' boasting, but also by the fear that has paralyzed his people. Burning with anger for the honor of Israel and his God, David dares to step forward when others remain in the shadows. This young shepherd, naive but filled with faith and determination, takes to the field ready to answer Goliath's challenge and defend his people. David does not see him as an invincible giant, but only another enemy who has gotten in the way of faith. Thus begins the battle, where it is not the power of arms that stands against the mighty sword, but the power of the Spirit and faith in God, who will not abandon his faithful. In ancient Israel, a young shepherd named David is sent to bring supplies to his brothers on the battlefront. The Israelites are paralyzed with fear, as the Philistine giant Goliath issues a challenge day after day. Send out your champion to fight me, and if he wins, we, the Philistines, will be your servants. But if I win, you will serve us. David arrives at the Israelite camp just as Goliath steps forward, his voice booming across the valley. Soldiers cower, but David is different. The courage in his heart grows as he watches the Philistine warrior mocking Israel and mocking God. Young and fearless, David steps forward. Who is this man who dares to defy the living God? He asks. Though just a shepherd, David volunteers to fight. King Saul is doubtful, but David tells him, "The Lord who saved me from the lion and the bear will deliver me from this giant." Taking only his sling and 5 smooth stones, David heads out to face Goliath. Across the valley, Goliath laughs, enraged that Israel has sent a boy to face him. But David is unshaken. "You come against me with a sword and spear," he says, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." In a swift movement, David slings a stone, striking Goliath in the forehead. The giant falls, crashing to the ground. Israel's enemy is defeated. With one stone and unbreakable faith, David turns the tide. The Israelites rally and chase the Philistines from the battlefield. That day, David's courage inspires a nation, and his reputation as a warrior begins to spread throughout Israel. David's journey has only just begun. As he steps into the spotlight, he will soon face greater trials, deeper betrayals, and harder tests of faith. Join us in the next episode as we explore the challenges David faces after his victory over Goliath. The journey of King David. After his victory over Goliath, David is celebrated by the people of Israel. King Saul brings him to his court, giving him honors and responsibilities. But soon, Saul's admiration turns to jealousy as he watches David's fame grow. Saul becomes consumed with envy, viewing David as a threat to his throne. David is forced to flee for his life as Saul's jealousy escalates into a full pursuit. David, now a fugitive, hides in caves and wilderness, gathering a loyal group of followers. Through it all, David stays true to his faith, refusing to harm Saul, even when he has the chance. He knows that God's timing is greater than his own. During his years on the run, David experiences betrayal and loss. But these trials shape him into a leader with a heart for God. He learns compassion, mercy, and the cost of true leadership. David writes psalms of praise, lament, and thanksgiving, strengthening his faith with each hardship. At long last, Saul dies in battle, and David is anointed king over Israel. As king, David brings together the tribes of Israel, establishing Jerusalem as the nation's capital. He leads with justice and faith, relying on God for guidance. David's kingdom flourishes, and he is known as a man after God's own heart. Even as king, David faces personal failures. He makes mistakes that lead to pain and consequences. But each time, David repents, seeking forgiveness and restoration from God. His story is one of redemption, showing that even those chosen by God are not without fault, but with a humble heart, they can find their way back. David's life is a testament to faith, courage, and forgiveness. Though he rose from a humble shepherd to a mighty king, David's legacy is defined by his heart for God. His psalms are still sung, his courage still admired, and his story reminds us that no matter our mistakes, God's grace is greater. Thank you for watching. David's story doesn't end here. His legacy continued to shape Israel and points forward to the coming of a king greater than any other. Subscribe to our channel to journey through more stories of faith, courage, and the enduring love of God.